When people see me at 82 still living in my own home, they often ask how long I plan to keep this up. Some suggest it might be time to consider a nursing home, for safety and convenience. But here's what they don't understand. The decision to stay out of a nursing home isn't stubborn pride or denial about getting older. It's a choice rooted in everything I've learned about what makes life worth living at this age. I've watched friends make different choices, and I respect that. But for me, after decades of independence and building a life on my own terms, the thought of moving into institutional care feels like giving up the very things that make me who I am. Today, I want to share with you the 5 reasons why I've made this decision and why it's about so much more than just avoiding a building. These aren't just my personal feelings. They're concerns I hear from seniors everywhere, whispered in grocery store lines and shared over coffee with neighbours. Each reason represents something we hold sacred about our golden years. And that last reason? Well, it might make you rethink what aging with dignity really means. So stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why this choice feels like the most important one I'll ever make. Let me start with something that might sound simple, but cuts deep: losing the right to my own space and time. At 82, I treasure my privacy more than I ever have before. It's not about being antisocial or difficult. It's about having earned the right to decide when I want company and when I need solitude. Think about your morning routine. Maybe you like to sit quietly with your coffee, watching the sunrise through your kitchen window. Or perhaps you enjoy a few minutes of prayer or meditation before the world wakes up. These aren't luxuries. They're the small rituals that keep us grounded and peaceful. In a nursing home, privacy becomes a rare commodity. You're sharing rooms with strangers who have their own habits and needs. Staff members have schedules to keep, so they come and go according to their timeline, not yours. That quiet morning moment I mentioned, it disappears when someone needs to check your blood pressure at 7 a.m. sharp, whether you're ready or not. I think about my friend Dorothy, who moved into a care facility last year. She used to love her evening routine: a warm bath, some light reading, maybe a phone call with her sister. Now she tells me she feels like she's always on someone else's clock. Dinner at 5, lights out by 9, wake-up calls that come whether she's slept well or not. She says it's like being back in boarding school, except she's 86 years old. Privacy isn't just about physical space either. It's about emotional space. The freedom to have a bad day without explaining yourself, to cry if you need to, or to just sit in silence without someone asking if you're okay every few minutes. When you're constantly surrounded by well-meaning staff and other residents, that emotional breathing room disappears. At home, I can close my door and know that behind it, I'm still the person I've always been. I can look through photo albums without anyone asking questions, or sit in my husband's old chair when I miss him without having to share that moment with anyone. That privacy isn't selfish. It's necessary for maintaining your sense of self when so much else is changing. The second reason cuts even deeper. It's about staying connected to the life I've actually lived. My home isn't just where I sleep and eat. It's a living museum of everything that's mattered to me over the decades. Every room tells a story that I'm not ready to close the book on. When I walk through my kitchen, I remember teaching my daughter to make my mother's apple pie recipe. The wooden spoon we used still sits in the same drawer. The dining room table has witnessed birthday celebrations, holiday meals, and quiet conversations that shaped our family. Even the creaky floorboard in the hallway reminds me of tiptoeing past the kids' rooms when they were small. These aren't just sentimental attachments. They're anchors that keep me connected to who I've been and what I've accomplished. Every morning when I make my bed, I'm sleeping in the same room where I nursed babies and comforted them through nightmares. When I tend to my small garden, I'm touching soil that I've worked for 20 years, watching plants I chose and nurtured grow season after season. A nursing home, no matter how nicely decorated, can't replicate that deep connection. The furniture might be comfortable and the walls might be painted pleasant colours, but they hold no history for me. There are no markers of the life I've lived, no reminders of the person I've been through all the different seasons of my years. My neighbour Helen learned this the hard way. When she moved to assisted living after a fall, she could only bring a few personal items, some photos, her favourite chair, a small bookshelf. She told me later that waking up in that sterile room made her feel like she was disappearing, like the woman who had raised 3 children and run a successful business for 30 years had somehow vanished overnight. Home is where my memories live and breathe. It's where I can touch the doorframe my grandchildren's heights are marked on, where I can open the closet and still catch a faint scent of my husband's cologne on his old coat that I can't bear to give away. These connections aren't holding me back, they're holding me together. My third reason might sound harsh, but it comes from watching too many stories unfold badly. I simply don't trust that institutional care can provide the dignity and respect I've worked a lifetime to earn. This isn't about attacking nursing homes or the people who work in them. Many are doing their absolute best. But the system itself often treats efficiency over individual humanity. And at this stage of my life, I refuse to be reduced to a room number and a medication schedule. I've seen what happens when caring becomes a business transaction. Staff members, no matter how kind they want to be, are stretched thin with too many residents and too little time. What should be personal care becomes assembly line treatment. You wait for help getting dressed, you eat meals when they're served whether you're hungry or not, and you go to activities that are planned for the group rather than chosen by you. My friend Robert spent his last 2 years in what was considered one of the better facilities in our area. His son thought he was doing the right thing after Robert had a stroke. But Robert, who had been a proud man who ran his own business for 40 years, found himself being spoken to like a child. Staff would pat his hand and use that sing-song voice you might use with a toddler. They meant well, but they had no idea they were stripping away his dignity with every interaction. The institutional nature of care also means your individual story gets lost. You become the woman in room 12 who needs help with medications rather than Margaret, who taught school for 30 years and raised 5 children. Your preferences, your personality, your lifetime of experiences, all of that rich history gets reduced to notes in a medical chart. I understand that families often choose nursing homes because they're scared, because they want their loved ones to be safe. But safety without dignity isn't really safety at all. It's just existing, and after 82 years of living fully, I'm not ready to settle for just existing. Here's something that might surprise people. I actually have more support staying in my own home than I would in any institution. The fourth reason I'll never move to a nursing home is because I believe in the power of family and community in ways that go far beyond what any paid staff can provide. The relationships I've built over a lifetime create a network of care that's both practical and emotional. My daughter calls every day, not because she has to, but because we genuinely enjoy talking. My next-door neighbour brings in my mail when the weather's bad, and I return the favour by watching her dog when she travels. The young family down the street helps with my heavy groceries, and I help their kids with homework when they need it. This isn't burden sharing, it's life sharing. We're all part of each other's daily rhythms in ways that feel natural and meaningful. When I help that little girl with her math, I'm not just tutoring, I'm staying connected to the future, remembering what it feels like to watch young minds grow. When my neighbour checks on me, she's not just performing a duty, She's maintaining a friendship that enriches both our lives. Community support also comes from unexpected places. My church has a meal train that activates when anyone needs help. The grocery store clerk knows my usual order and always asks if I need assistance to my car. The pharmacist remembers my name and takes time to explain any changes in my medications. These connections keep me woven into the fabric of daily life rather than isolated in an institutional setting. I think about my friend Martha, who chose differently. When she moved to assisted living, her family visited regularly at first, but gradually the visits became shorter and less frequent. It wasn't that they stopped caring, but the facility felt foreign to them. The scheduled visiting hours, the institutional atmosphere, the fact that Martha was surrounded by strangers, it all made natural conversation harder. By staying home, I'm not just maintaining independence, I'm preserving the relationships that give my life meaning. My grandchildren don't have to visit me in a place that smells like disinfectant and sadness. They can come to the kitchen where I taught them to bake cookies, where we can spread out puzzles on the dining room table, where they can run around the backyard they've known since they were tiny. Family and community support isn't about refusing professional help when you need it. It's about maintaining the human connections that remind you that you're still a vital part of other people's lives, not just someone who needs to be taken care of. Now, here's the final reason, and it might be the most important one of all. I refuse to go to a nursing home because I'm committed to taking responsibility for my own well-being as long as I possibly can. This isn't about being stubborn or unrealistic about aging. It's about maintaining the habits and mindset that keep me as healthy and independent as possible. Every morning, I get up and make my bed. It's a simple thing, but it starts my day with purpose. I prepare my own breakfast, choosing foods that nourish my body. I take my medications on schedule because I've organized them in a way that makes sense to me. I do light exercises that keep my joints moving and my balance steady. These aren't heroic acts. They're daily choices that add up to a life lived with intention. Self-care at this age isn't about vanity or proving anything to anyone. It's about honoring the body and mind that have carried me this far. When I tend to my small garden, I'm not just growing tomatoes. I'm keeping my hands flexible and my mind engaged with the rhythms of nature. When I cook my own meals, I'm not just feeding myself. I'm maintaining skills that keep me feeling capable and in control. I've watched what happens when people give up these small acts of self-determination. My cousin Jack moved to assisted living and quickly stopped doing things for himself. Why make your own coffee when someone brings it to you? Why choose your own clothes when someone can lay them out? Within months, he seemed to shrink, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The man who had once fixed his own car and built his own deck was asking for help opening juice bottles. Staying home forces me to stay engaged with my own life. I have to plan meals, manage my household, make decisions about everything from what to watch on television to when to schedule doctor appointments. These responsibilities aren't burdens. They're reminders that I'm still capable, still contributing to my own well-being. This doesn't mean I'm stubborn about accepting help when I need it. I've arranged for a cleaning service twice a month because deep cleaning has become difficult. I have groceries delivered when the weather's bad. But there's a difference between accepting support and surrendering control. One preserves dignity, while the other gradually erodes it. Self-care is also about mental and emotional health. I read books that challenge me, maintain friendships that require effort, and stay curious about the world around me. In a nursing home, it's easy to become passive, to let others make decisions and choices for you. But the mind, like the body, needs exercise to stay strong. So as I wrap up these thoughts, I want you to understand that this choice isn't about fear or denial. It's about values, the belief that independence, dignity, connection, and personal responsibility are worth fighting for, even when it means taking on challenges that might seem easier to avoid. Each of these 5 reasons represents something essential about living rather than simply existing. Privacy gives me space to be myself. Home connects me to my history. Trust protects my dignity. Community maintains my relationships, and self-care preserves my sense of purpose. I'm not suggesting this path is right for everyone. Some people find peace and community in nursing homes, and there's no shame in that choice. But for those of us who feel that pull toward independence, who aren't ready to trade autonomy for convenience, these reasons matter deeply. The conversation about aging in America needs to include voices like mine, seniors who are choosing to age in place, not because we're unrealistic about the challenges, but because we understand what we're willing to sacrifice and what we absolutely refuse to give up. Every person deserves to write the final chapters of their story on their own terms. What resonates with you from what I've shared today? Have you had these conversations with your own family members, or maybe you're facing these decisions yourself? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Share what struck you most deeply, or tell us about your own experiences with aging and independence. If this video helped you understand something new about the choices seniors face, please give it a like and share it with someone who might benefit from hearing these perspectives. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos where we continue exploring what it means to age with dignity and purpose. Your engagement helps us reach more people who need to hear these important conversations. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll continue talking about the real experiences of growing older in today's world.